The first American credit unions were founded to meet the financial needs of the vulnerable and underserved. That's a legacy that our next award recipient has embraced in countless ways. She's been a force for diversity, equity, and inclusion, not just in recent years, but for decades. She was an industry pioneer in I-10 lending, an approach that once caused confusion and fear, but is now widely accepted. And she's spent nearly 2 decades helping pass legislation in her home state of New Mexico to combat predatory lending. It is our distinct honor to recognize Winona Nava, President and CEO of Guadalupe Credit Union, with an Outstanding Individual Achievement Award. Now please, direct your attention to the screen as we watch more about Winona's story.
She is a force to be reckoned with. Her heart is always in the right place.
As I've gotten to know her over the years, she's become like family to me.
It's her work and her devotion to the work that set her apart.
She always says, you know, if I do what's right, the Lord's going to take care of me.
And I believe what makes her so unique and so awesome is that she is here for the mission.
I had really wanted to work for Guadalupe Credit Union. That was one of my goals because I didn't want to move out of Santa Fe because of my son.
I worked with Guadalupe Credit Union for over 23 years. Had the fortune of working with Winona when she first got there. Unfortunately, it was also during the time that we were taken over by conservatorship by the state of New Mexico.
It was a hard decision in some ways to take it over when it was in conservatorship because as a single mom, I was a little afraid if the credit union didn't make it.
She was able to make quick work of what was happening in the credit union, not only save the day and got us out of conservatorship, but also take it and run and grow with it.
She was very focused on getting the credit union to where it should be and be able to help the member and the community.
She was entirely dedicated to making her career and helping the credit union and all the people around her and the people around Santa Fe.
She knows this community, she cares about this community, but she sees more in this community than just, people who have needs. She sees the potential. They realized that financial services could be so impactful in our community.
And we look for unique ways to serve people. Services like financial coaching services that may not be profitable, but they certainly help our membership.
I was in a serious wreck where the other driver left the scene. The coaching staff at Guadalupe Credit Union really helped me feel better and helped me keep my vehicle. Being a single father, it was something that was just weighing on my mind a lot, but it put me at ease. It was such a great experience.
The involvement that Guadalupe Credit Union has in our community today will make a difference for generations to come. And now I've got a lot more opportunity to build my credit and do better and know that I'm not going to put myself in this situation again.
Back in 2003, we were the first state in the country to really proactively move forward to provide driver's licenses to folks regardless of immigration status in New Mexico. And Guadalupe Credit Union was there at our hearings talking about how having a driver's license or a state ID helps their institutions serve our community. There were ways to serve the community. There were ways to provide using individual tax identification numbers, loans to folks who were members of the credit union, and she really wanted to problem solve.
One of the things that I've noticed when I go to a conference and people are like, oh, Guadalupe, that's Winona's credit union. It's always so fun to have a conversation about the wonderful things that we do and help educate others, because so many people want to be able to do that too. I want to know how to do I-10 lending. I want to know how to serve the underserved market. It's really great to see this reach spread further than just New Mexico.
Guadalupe Credit Union is a credit union that has been a pioneer. They have seen opportunity where a lot of other folks didn't. The reality is that a lot of the for-profit financial institutions would prey on the folks that Guadalupe started serving, especially the immigrant community.
Like charging 175% interest.
She has worked diligently for years to get interest rate caps in the state of New Mexico.
Little by little, we started implementing caps in New Mexico. Guadalupe Credit Union, under the leadership of Winona, was there every single step of the way. Ultimately, this year was lowered to 36%. That was work that was done over many, many years, and it really took the entire credit union movement, and it took leaders like Winona to get us there.
Not only was Guadalupe Credit Union able to grow, as they decided to grow, they thought, well, we need to continue to hire people who come from the community to serve the community.
We actually got a grant from the National Credit Union Foundation to help us build this branch in this strip mall, and it was so successful. So within 3 years, we built the new larger branch, and that really helped the problem with being able to serve the people.
The airport location was designed with a number system. Grab a number and you wait until your number is called. We found it was a better way to structure our branch because the community wanted to visit and hang out with each other. If you've ever been there after 4 o'clock on a Friday from 4 to 7, it's just slammed with people, and families are visiting, kids are having a great time, and banking doesn't seem so scary.
Before it was popular, Guadalupe started serving those members and attracting them and making them know that they are welcomed.
It's having bicultural employees that really understand the members that is what has created that level of trust. That branch opens more accounts than any other branch that we have every month.
You get to visit and talk to your comadres and your compadres and learn about what's up for the weekend, and the guys are coming off the construction sites, and it's actually quite fun. If you ever want to come hang out with us, you might need to brush up on your Spanish a little bit.
Oftentimes, we talk about opportunities and they seem so removed from reality, and then someone like Winona comes and makes it happen.
Treating everyone with dignity and respect, no matter who they are, what life choices they've made, what their country of origin is. I think that's extremely important.
Ladies and gentlemen, Winona Nava. And as she accepts her award,
I can definitely tell you that I'm so honored to be on this stage tonight receiving the award. It is such a surprise to me. There's been so many of my sheroes and heroes and mentors that have received this award. It's hard to believe that I'm counted within their ranks, so I really appreciate it. I also want to acknowledge my family over here to the right who came to support me tonight. I have children and grandchildren there. And also I have a longtime friend that started working with me at Guadalupe, at the State Employees Credit Union, my first credit union years ago, Julie. And so I also have my board members, supervisory committee members, and a lot of my wonderful employees here. So I really appreciate that. I started my career at State Employees Credit Union 45 years ago. And I kind of pushed my way in the door. That's a long story that I could tell you another time, but how I got the job there was kind of interesting. But I also got so much opportunity once I did get the job there. I was able to do a lot of education and went to Western CUNA Management School, got my CCUE, moved up to vice president, and I really appreciate my son Eric's support here tonight, because he was the one, as a single mom, he was the one that actually had a lot of grandma time and a lot of time away from me because of all my career and all I needed to do, I felt, for the community and for the credit union. And then I was excited because I had been mentored by a lady that was a CEO, it was manager back then, but CEO of Guadalupe Credit Union, and I was so excited that I thought I was going to be the next CEO there. Well, the problem was the board members, they decided that they wanted this young male that had just gotten his bachelor's degree in accounting and had no experience. So they hired him. I didn't even get an interview. They hired him to run the credit union. Well, with 18 months, he was so successful that he put it into conservatorship. And then he got to spend 9 years in prison. So, so it was quite a harrowing time for the employees that were there. And then at that point, I had always kind of gone above and beyond my job description. So when I was at State Employees Credit Union, I had worked a lot with the examiners. And so they had put out an ad for the job, and I didn't apply. And they said, well, why haven't you applied? One called me, actually, to ask me. And I said, well, I didn't apply because I don't qualify because I don't have a bachelor's degree. And they said, really? And I said, yeah, I have 3 more classes to finish before I'll have that bachelor's degree. And they said, apply. So I did. I got the job, and it was a lot of restoration, trying to take the credit union back to its roots. 75 years ago, Father McCarthy started the credit union with the goal of helping the people in the church that were being preyed on by loan sharks. And so we were able to go back to that and start helping people that were being preyed on by modern-day loan sharks. So that was very important to me to be able to do that. And I think, like they said in the video about the interest rates, that was one of the greatest successes. Even though that took until 2021, that was a great success. I guess it was actually January 2022, and it went into effect January of this year. Another big turning point in our credit union was when the Real Solutions program by the National Credit Union Foundation came out, and they had people come in and speak to us at the association level, and Pablo Di Felipe came in and talked to us about CDFIs. I was intrigued by it, but I wasn't sure what it was all about. And so I went up to Pablo afterwards, and I started asking him more about it. He said, well, tell me about your credit union. And he said, well, you're doing everything a CDFI does. You just need to have that title. So he encouraged us, and we applied to become a CDFI, and we were granted to be a CDFI, and as a result, we brought in millions of dollars actually to the very impoverished state of New Mexico, and especially rural northern New Mexico. So that's great. And then Pablo suggested I speak at a national conference, and I was like, really? About our CDFI, about our lending that we were doing? Because in 2000, we had started learning, Luis Padilla, our board chair at the time, he wanted as a planning session goal that we would reach out to those that weren't fully documented and provide I-10 loans, I-10s, and safe accounts. And so we did that. And actually, I guess with some help from NALCUP and some things, CUNA Hispanic Outreach Task Force and things, we became quite good at it. So he asked me to speak on it nationally. So I was speaking, and there was a really large credit union in the audience. And they said, excuse me, ma'am, but could you just share your business plan? And I was like, And I finally said, it was the right thing to do. Because I... And also, in slightly thereafter, another one of my sheroes, Lois Kitch, she came in as part of as part of Real Solutions. She came in and said, if there was one thing you could do, what would you want to do? And I said, well, I'd like to open another branch. Although it's only about a mile down the road from our branch, it's a completely different neighborhood. And she said, well, apply for a Real Solutions grant. I did, and I was granted it, and like the video said, we outgrew it in 3 years and had to build this huge office across the street that is still our most fastest growing branch. And another thing that, again, this was sponsored, and I forget which is running it now, the foundation or CUNA, but the Certified Financial Coaches Program. We learned about that, but we had an employee who was already, we've had several over the years who were actually kind of doing that. And I'd go into a restaurant, and I'd get my check, and it would have a Guadalupe Credit Union pin. And I'm like, oh, are you a member? Oh, yeah. And then I tell them who I was, and they were like, I'm sorry I took the pin. I'm like, no, it's okay. But then they would tell me how their lives were changed by our financial coaching. They bought the new car. They never thought they'd have a new car. They bought a home. They never thought they'd have a home, of their own and things. And so I'm like, we need to multiply this. And so at the time, the employee that had been doing this most recently as a branch manager became our first full-time financial coach, and she's now grown the department so all 7 of our branches have full-time financial coaches, and she's our chief of financial empowerment, and it's been amazing for our members, You can only imagine like what we were talking about, those interest rates. I mean, we had people that would come in, they owned a car, they borrowed $10,000 on it, and with those horrible interest rates, they were paying back amounts such as $50,000. Isn't that horrible? I know when you don't hear the numbers, it's hard to imagine how bad it can really be, because I went to a CEO meeting and nobody could guess, including myself, how much that would be. And I've had a wonderful and joyful ride during the years, in the credit union movement. I love what I do. And it's really helped me to be able to use my personal values, where we treat everyone with dignity and respect, without regard to ethnicity, without regard to social status, economic status, immigration status, credit score, choices they've made in life. We just believe at Guadalupe Credit Union that we have to treat everyone with dignity and respect and help them get back on track. And one of the things that really helps reinforce that each month is at our all-staff meeting, we have each branch give their best member-centric story of how they've really helped someone that month. And it re-energizes me, and I know it re-energizes my staff that have the same beliefs I do. And I've also enjoyed serving for the Credit Union Association of New Mexico, for CUNA, for the National Credit Union Foundation, now CUP and CULA. It's been a joy to help so much on the local and national level, share what we do, have people come in and see what we do and learn from us. And right now, I'm going to retire in October, but it's really been great because I feel that I've groomed and taught and educated and sent people to things to become educated, so that my executive team, my vice president level employees, the majority of whom all are from internal, now can carry this torch on and can carry on this mission and vision and even take it to higher levels. So thank you.
Thank you, Winona, for all you've done to serve marginalized and vulnerable communities and inspire others to do the same. Let's show her one more round of appreciation, please.